The dog returns to his vomit, and the sow returns to her mire, and the burnt fool's bandaged finger goes wobbling back to the fire. And then after this is accomplished, and the brave new world begins, when all men are paid for existing, and no man must pay for his sins, as surely as water will wet us, as surely as fire will burn, the gods of the copybook headings with terror and slaughter return.
I chose the Kipling poem because it was written at a time where the progressives had lied and overstepped, pushed the Overton window, reached outside of the Overton window. He was a guy who had seen all of the lies, the propaganda and everything, and then lost his son in World War I and wrote that poem. And in its entirety, it could have absolutely been written today. And it has an eternal truth about progressives and the progressive movement in it. So what is the Overton window exactly? I'll let Joe Layman explain.
It was devised by a man named Joe Overton in the mid-1990s. And he wanted a way to explain the work of think tanks and why think tank work was so important. Think tanks talk about and develop and research ideas that aren't quite politically possible yet. By talking about those ideas just outside the window, by developing them, explaining them, researching them, you make the case for them, and eventually you make it safe for politicians to support an idea today that would have been unsafe for them to support yesterday. The nearest and dearest issue to his heart was education reform. In other words, why is it that we educate children by having the government assign them to schools? Why can't parents choose schools? But we found that politicians were afraid to support that, and so he had to come up with a model that explained how we might get there. If you have a vertical scale, consider the bottom of it is the most government control possible. And then at the top of the scale, the most freedom is there aren't even any government schools. The policy in Michigan, when the Mackinac Center began its work, was at the lower end of the scale. Homeschooling was virtually illegal. You just went to the school the government assigned you to. But through work that we've done and others, we've shifted that window up. And now, you can't even talk about homeschooling being illegal anymore.
I actually wrote the Overton window because I was frustrated that I couldn't get people to think out of the box. And actually, the lead character, Noah, was modeled after my business partner, who is a reasonable guy, a smart guy, but just refuses to look at some of the facts in front of him. We just disagree. I wrote it for those kind of people that maybe just a little extra push on, oh, wait a minute, all of these things tied together, it could lead there. Just an update. My business partner, he read the Overton window. He said it was a great fiction, a great work of fiction. I hope it stays that way.